Cape Canaveral, Florida, a location synonymous to the United States space program, the early Mercury projects and Apollo programs to the spectacular launches of the Space Shuttle have all been launched from Cape Canaveral. Join us on another mission, a sport fishing adventure to the east side of the Gulf Stream, some 70 miles off the Space Coast. It's 6 a.m. as the Ticket, a sleek 55-foot sport fishing machine, glides through the early morning fog, beginning her adventure to the other side. Gathered in the cockpit, the anglers swap fishing stories, hoping that by the end of the day, new tales might be added to their list. Outside the inlet, the fog lifts and the crew gets a glimpse of the beautiful day that lies ahead of them. The trip to the other side of the Gulf Stream is approximately 70 nautical miles, passing by the old gantries that line the Space Coast. So sit back and enjoy the ride. "8 a.m. and already Captain Ed Dwyer is 70 miles offshore searching for yellowfin tuna. Ed Duda and the first mate Scott Goodwin stand ready in the cockpit as Captain Ed checks his highly sensitive radar that helps to locate pods of birds. Fishing the other side requires covering a lot of water, and finding the bird pods usually means yellowfins are nearby. The birds are spotted. Scott teases the right outrigger. The tease pays off. Now it's up to the anglers to do their job. Jack Malloy battles the fish on the right flat. Mr. Duda picks off another fish on the stinger line above. James Shaw, a local high school principal, and Bob Branyan are engaged in a massive tug of war of their own. Yellowfin tuna, when hooked, fight with tremendous power. Ed gives the victory sign as the fish are brought to the boat. Judging by Captain Ed's response, it's a good start to the day. With the ticket back to trolling speed and lures back out, it's just a matter of time before the crew of the ticket are once again sent into a heart-pounding frenzy. Yellowfin are not the only thing encountered on the other side. Scotty sets the hook and the fight is on. A 300-pound blue marlin can definitely get the heart pounding with its awesome aerial display. This time it's Max Branion's turn. As the battle ensues, the marlin spreads its pectoral fins, making the angler wonder just why did he ever get in the chair. As the lengthy battle rages on, Max decides to hand off to his son Bob, who gladly takes over. Ed Duda shows a bit of excitement as the ticket backs down on the big blue. Once the worthy opponent is coaxed to the boat and in range, a tag is placed into the fish to help track the marlin's migration patterns. The marlin is brought boatside to remove the hook, a dangerous endeavor. Once unhooked, the marlin will be revived by pulling him alongside the boat. With his oxygen replenished, the fish kicks off. Ed motors up the diesels. He knows there's no time to waste. Locate the birds, and you'll locate the fish. Let's find out some more about the other side from Captain Dwyer. Right out of the scene from a Hitchcock film, the birds were everywhere. An eventful day already, but the crew knows that more action is still to come. Another multiple hookup. Being 70 miles offshore, engaged in tremendous sport fishing action, can do wonders for one's body and soul. As the day continues, the crew of the Ticket continue to have success with smoking tuna action and a 300-pound blue marlin already tagged and released. The crew could only wonder what might happen next. The afternoon sun beats down on the water, warming the surface and sending the yellowfin down to deeper, cooler water. For other smaller species, finding shelter from the sun is a must. A pallet can act as shelter, providing cover for many fish. The crew decides to find out if anyone is home. Often, schoolie-sized dolphin are found under pieces of floating debris. A switch to baits is made to target another predator that can be found lurking under the debris. The deep line pays off. Wahoo, named that because of what can sometimes be heard from an angler during the fish's first screaming run. Ed picks off another from the bridge, and as he hands it down, the angler finds out just how hard a wahoo can pull. This last fish, a bit bigger and still fighting, gives the angler a bit of a workout. But even with the task at hand of getting the last wahoo on the boat, already etched in the crew's mind is the glorious day spent fishing the other side. When not fishing the far side of the Gulf Stream, Captain Dwyer sometimes can be found speaking at local fishing seminars. One major thing that Captain Dwyer stresses when fishing the other side is safety. It's a long way back to the dock. The beginning of a new day as Ed sorts through his selection of J&S lures, searching for the ones that will produce in the overcast conditions. If not by temperature, the large flocks of birds are often telltale signs that the east side of the Gulf Stream has been reached. With a new crew aboard the Ticket, all eyes begin to stare in the aft direction, awaiting for the first sign of a yellowfin to bust the surface. All 6 rods hooked up, not uncommon for the other side. For the crew, it's a day they will never forget. With multiple hookups, Captain Ed becomes the director. Excellent table fare, the yellowfin should be wired carefully so to assure a good gaff shot. After the tuna are pulled in the fish box, they're later transferred to the ticket's chill box for the ride home.
I think you did.
Scott cleans up the cockpit, preparing for round 2, and it's not long before the bell rings. Anglers Tony and Jimmy keep the pressure on. Captain Ed comes down from the flybridge to take a turn at the rod. Another hefty yellowfin. Ed scans the horizons for more bird pods. The pods are once again picked up by radar. It's not long before fish are seen busting the surface. With first mate Scott at the helm, Ed points him in the right directions. Scott tries teasing up a yellowfin. The fish again show themselves, and the crew of the Ticket are once again covered up. The hits just keep coming. "30 to 50-pound tuna have been common throughout the day. This fish, however, seems to have a bit more weight to it. A blackfin tuna is released, while Jimmy continues to work on his fish. Captain Ed gives Jim a hand by backing down. It's a yellowfin that has been foul hooked. A foul hooked fish sends out stress signals, which explains the lurking 50-pound wahoo trying to get a free lunch. The tuna is brought aboard, but not before the wahoo was able to sneak a bite. A new adventure to the other side begins as Ed Duda admires the beautiful sunrise while the Ticket clips along at 32 knots. And just like the other mornings, the flocks of birds are found feeding on the schools of baitfish. Ed Duda's son, Tommy, keeps a sharp watch for the first early morning bite. First up in the chair this morning is the owner of the Ticket, Mr. Duda. This fish hit the shotgun line and is still a long way out.
Sorry, Doug.
Finally, the big yellowfin is in leader range. Now it's Tommy's turn. The policy of the ticket is to release all yellowfin under 25 pounds. Juvenile yellowfin are also tagged for migration research. Notice how Scott places the tuna on a wet towel to help protect the fish. The tag is then inserted and the fish is quickly released. The sky begins to darken in the distance, a potential threatening storm which is watched closely by Captain Ed. Then out of nowhere, a 14-foot hammerhead appears, a sight even more threatening. With the hammerhead and the storm clouds now only a memory, the crew focuses again on finding the fish. The fighting chair is a place that Scott does not sit in often. A coach most of the time, Scotty gets a chance to be an angler again, a position every fisherman enjoys. Scott applies the pressure. He knows the importance of keeping the line tight, especially on a billfish. 15 minutes into the fight, and the marlin is still being very stubborn. The leader comes close, but the fish makes another run. Tommy finally gets the leader and begins to wire the marlin. The tag is inserted, and now all that's left to do is remove the hook and release the fish, a risky task that is not always easy. Another blue one hooked up. This time Tommy is in the chair and Scott is back to working the cockpit. Scott reaches for the leader, but it's too early. This fish still has plenty of fight left. While Tommy keeps the pressure on, Ed's job is to keep the chair pointed at the fish. A greyhounding marlin is an awesome sight, but it's amazing how fast things can get out of hand when hooked up to a ballistic blue marlin. The fish continues to jump off the port side of the boat. Captain Ed spins the ticket around to keep the lines out of the props. The teamwork pays off. Amazingly enough, the fish is still hooked. With the possibility of the line being frayed, Captain Ed backs down hard. The second blue for the day is tagged. Although the fish doesn't weigh more than 125 pounds, the awesome battle he displays gives him a rightful earned release. The crew aboard the Ticket hopes to see this fish another day. An exciting end to an exhilarating sport fishing adventure on the other side.